This year, the game 12 Minutes was released, with the premise of a thrilling time loop narrative all taking place in a couple's apartment. And while the game ended up falling flat on its tonally inconsistent face, a certain aspect stood out to me, and that was the violence. Even though it can be played for laughs because of the jarring tone shifts and the dialogue options and gameplay you can engage with, it's supposed to be taken seriously, and was taken seriously by a lot of people, and so this violence was probably hard on a lot of people who didn't know about its severity. With domestic violence ranging from drugging your spouse to being given the option to stab your pregnant wife to death in cold blood. There's also self-harm and a lot of other violent acts to cap it off. Now, does this stuff bother me? No. I've been playing fucked up, dark, and intense games since I was too small to ride the roller coaster at Disneyland, but that's just my experience. And luckily, for me, I don't have any trauma that would be triggered by these sorts of things. But a lot of people do. There have been games that cover a lot of dark, raw, and real topics with the imagery to back it up, and 95% of them come with no warnings to let people know, hey, this might ruin your week when you see this. Now, you might think I'm being hyperbolic about the effects these scenes can have on people, but I assure you that is not the case. Triggering someone's PTSD or CPTSD essentially causes them to relive that traumatic moment in their head. This can cause symptoms such as vivid flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, nightmares, depression, panic attacks, physical sensations such as pain, sweating, and nausea. This is something that no one should have to experience, and we can take steps to avoid these triggers for people in video games. Well, why not just read the ESRB? ESRB is an outdated rating system that has only ever been used to oppress 14-year-old boys going to GameStop with their moms, only to have an employee tell their mom there are boobies in GTA 4, and then you walk out with nothing. ESRB is not there to protect anyone from things that are actually harmful to children or people with trauma. The ESRB rating for 12 Minutes is M for mature, for blood, gore, sexual content, strong language, violence. Nowhere does it mention domestic violence or anything of that ilk. Furthermore, the terms ESRB likes to use are very vague. Blood and gore can range from Halo 3, where the worst gore you see is a pile of purple alien glue on the floor, to severing things you didn't even know could be severed in Mortal Kombat. Sexual content or sexual themes can range anywhere from the completely blurred out sex in The Sims to the notorious rape scene in Hotline Miami 2. With such a range in content, it would be hard for anyone to determine what they will actually witness in the game. Well, why not just look it up? Well, this is fine, but you run the risk of spoiling many other aspects of the game for yourself that you may not have wanted to know. As well, the onus should be on the developer to warn the consumer of the game's content. This is why ESRB exists, after all. Why not just avoid games like that? A lot of people with PTSD still enjoy dark or gory subject matter, but are triggered by specific representations of those subjects. I happen to have a lot of friends with past trauma who still love thrillers or horror games, but who would be harmed by seeing their traumas in certain sections of the genres they enjoy. What steps can be taken to help? Gaming is the perfect medium to start implementing some options to help with triggers. Some games have adopted the warning text message seen in movies to let players know this game might contain harmful content. But the best way, in my opinion, is to have options in the menu to filter out harmful content. It would be incredible to see more games with options to blur or remove certain moments or dialogue that could be traumatic. Placing these warnings and options in the menu also keeps it from being spoiled for people who do not wish to see it. Give a warning saying it contains spoilers and let people decide whether to follow through. Another great option would be for Steam and other storefronts to implement similar warnings on the game's store pages. So, before you buy, include a simple spoiler prompt as well, and even that could go a long way. I'm sure there are even more ways developers could implement these warnings into the games themselves. I would love to see their informed takes on this and hope to see more of this soon. Accessibility has come a long way in video games over the past few years, although it is time we start thinking about mental health accessibility options as well. It is impossible to stop everyone's triggers. There are, unfortunately, a million traumatic things that can happen in this world, but There are some common triggers we can start with. Making sure those affected by domestic abuse, sexual violence, police brutality, and war trauma would be a great starting point. You've got to start somewhere, and keeping people safe while they enjoy something that is supposed to be entertaining should be something we strive for in this industry.